Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is your favorite show, Sports Unfolded, with your favorite hosts, Eric and Ron.
Hey, welcome to Sports Unfolded, episode 16 of season 3, Stomper Room. I am your host, Eric. My main man over there. Ron, how are you tonight?
I'm doing okay.
Doing okay.
What is
So
up?
much in the sports world this week. This may be a 4-hour show by the time we're done because there is so much to go over and so much happening. Again, if you're joining us live, make sure you chime in. We want to talk to everybody that's out there tonight. We want to get your
Absolutely.
opinions on some of this stuff. We are going to start off with our leadoff story, and that's the Boston Bruins, who lost game 2 at home to the Florida Panthers. Ron, is it time for us to start to worry about the playoff chances here for the Boston Bruins?
No, it's not. Look, everybody in New England is now pressing the panic button.
Including the coach.
Well, maybe, but look, these players know what they're doing. Yes, they are minus.
Thanks for joining.
They are minus Patrice Bergeron for at least the next 2 games, which is quite
very concerning. Yep.
This leads me to believe when they say it's an upper body injury, that must mean it's a concussion. And that's what I think he's suffering from. And he's had them in the past. And that's a little concerning. So, I mean, to me, it does not affect this series. It did affect the series in a sense of, the face-offs were terrible for the Bruins.
Agreed.
And when you lose 13 of 16 in the third period, it's tough to get anything going. And then throwing the defenseman just coughing the puck up right in front of the net every 5 minutes doesn't help either.
Okay. So I will ask you this question, Ron. Not many teams beat the Boston Bruins twice in the regular season.
Right.
The Florida Panthers were one of them.
Yes, they were.
Right. So I'm starting to look at the sloppy play, maybe a mentality thing when it comes to the Bruins and how they pursue this. They had so many bad turnovers, especially in Florida's zone where they just gave the puck up. Now there's questions about Olmark and his health. Swayman's going to start tonight.
Yeah.
And they brought up the kid from Providence, right? So there's concerns there. So you're losing Patrice Bergeron. You're losing Olmark, who in the playoffs realistically is 1-3.
Right.
He doesn't play well in the playoffs. He had a phenomenal regular season. But I think this team put so much into getting that wins record, the points record, that it ultimately hurt them now. Because
I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree.
Explain to me how then they are playing. So they've played in 6 periods, Ron, 1 solid period. And that was in game 1, maybe period 3. Other than that, they have not looked good for 5 periods in this series.
Okay. So you look at the fact that they had a 9-game winning streak going into that loss. And look, at the 9 games, the sloppiness comes out in like game 7, 8, right? And you squeak by in that 8th game, which was the first game of the series, and then you totally collapse in that game, and now the Bruins will go back to the drawing board and they will come back out, and I believe they're going to have a fantastic game this coming game.
You win 65 games.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
Why would you make so many drastic changes in game 3 in your lineup? Every line is different now.
Yeah.
And that to me is something that it's like they're pushing the panic button at this point. They're putting lineups that they didn't even use during the regular season in game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. That to me is a mental thing of you're starting to feel like the Florida Panthers have your number.
Yeah, see, that I don't agree with. Like personally, I thought the forwards played very well.
Yeah, it was more the
I wouldn't have
defenseman.
changed that.
Yeah, to your point, it was the defenseman. We were talking
I
during
would
the
have,
game.
yeah, what I would have done was take out Connor Clifton, put in Grizzlick. That's the only change I would have made. And then you have Forbert playing the offside, on the defense. And you put, Matt Grizzlick with him.
Yeah,
And to me, that is all that I would have done. I would have kept the lines changed. I mean, the lines intact for the most part. You might want to tinker with some of them. Maybe, try, Krejci with, whoever, put him back with Pasternak and, um, oh my God, I can't think of his name right now. Well, anyway, but it doesn't matter. I mean, um, you have to just keep the ship afloat, really, and
but
it will fix itself because you got guys on that team that can fix it just
I think the
just by
loss
playing even harder.
the loss of Bergeron is definitely underrated in this series
Oh,
because
absolutely.
that to me, if they struggle tonight,
Yeah,
and let's just say they lose, Bergeron to me was the guy that can kind of get this team back on track.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Not having him for game 4, and then possibly we don't know if for this series. They're being
Yeah,
very secretive. At first, it was an illness, which
yeah,
obviously we know was not true.
right.
He got hurt in a game they didn't need him to play in, so that is going to start to come into question as to why was he out there at that point. Granted, you could get hurt any point in time, and I
Right.
understand that, but again, they already had the records. They didn't need him out there. And to me, it's even the guys that you would expect to like Marchand. It doesn't look like Marchand.
Marchand
Pasternak,
was fantastic.
he looked out of all of them, he looked the best
Yeah,
in game 2. But then even Pasternak, some of the shots that he took where you felt like he could have made
yeah,
or taken a shot, he was he was passing the puck versus taking a shot. So some questions as to if these guys somehow, I think they heard that, with the record, winning the President Cup. Now you're the best regular season team of all
oh
time.
yeah, look,
Sometimes that pressure, and we saw it with the Patriots in the Super Bowl, and we see it with a lot of these, the 73 win
oh,
Golden State
absolutely,
Warriors. You
absolutely.
get to a point, and then it's like the pressure of you supposed to win. What ends up happening is you end up struggling, and I don't think this team can afford to struggle so early in the playoffs.
No, and look, if they were going to do it, it was best to do it in game 1 and 2, right? So, in fact, this opens their eyes. I think this is going to be, oh, now we're 1-1. We need to get on the ball. We need to go back to what we do, and that's what they're going to have to do tonight. Because the equalizer is Bergeron being out. That's the equalizer. Because Florida's a good team. Let's not,
Yeah, and I don't think
pretend.
anybody's questioning it.
Right.
I
So
just think you thought Boston was so much better.
right. And they are, but now they got to come out and play like it. You
Any
know,
concern with Swayman in goal tonight?
I don't have any concerns. I don't have
Okay.
any concerns with Swayman.
All right. You
To me, this is almost like their regular rotation.
so what happens
Omar
if
played two. Now he's coming in and playing one.
what about the Olmark injury?
Well, they'll take a look at that. I mean, obviously, I noticed it last night. I mean, not last night.
Yeah,
Game
2 nights
two,
ago. Yeah.
that there was something not feeling right. Um, but he still played very well, even though it was a blowout win for Florida. He played well. Like they just left him by
Yeah, high
himself.
and dry. I mean,
Yeah,
you're facing,
I
a
mean it
quick
was
turnover and
constant.
yeah. Yeah.
So, but
Agreed with.
so he played well, but he had to play that well, and it might have tweaked, an injury from, the last couple of games.
And is Grizzlick in for game 3? Did they
As far as what I know, he is going to be in for game 3, and I would expect it to be Connor Clifton to be out because you really can't take away anybody else. you can't take away Forbert because he's your best defenseman on the penalty killing, and he's a big body. And to me, I think it looked like Florida was trying to push them around and did some.
Game 3 tonight. Puck drops 7:30. Is it 7:30 tonight?
Yes.
All right. So we'll have to tune in. We'll be talking tonight about it. But let's move on to some NFL. And let's talk about the newest contract for Jalen Hurts. 5 years, $225 million, $179.3 million guaranteed. A no trade clause, which is the first ever in Philadelphia Eagles history.
Yeah.
Is this too early in his career to give him this kind of money based on the fact that he's been to one Super Bowl?
I think all these teams are now being foolish. Look, like I said, in a conversation we had a few days ago, I'm measuring everybody by Patrick Mahomes right now. Before it was Tom Brady. Now I'm measuring people by Patrick Mahomes out there. He's got the most Super Bowls, and to me, he's still the top quarterback in the league. And I'm not paying anyone more than him. I'm not doing it. So why aren't these teams just saying, hey, look, we'll give you, what Patrick Mahomes makes in hopes that you win a championship? Now, there's no guarantee he's going to. That might be it. Like last year, that could be the last time he ever plays in the Super Bowl. Do I think it will be? No, I don't think so. But he's not a guaranteed win for a Super Bowl. Like nobody is.
Yeah.
Look. I don't pay anybody more than Mahomes. I just don't do it.
So top 10 quarterbacks in the league today. Jalen Hurts at number one now, 51 million. Aaron Rodgers, 50.3 million. He is the second. Think about it. One Super Bowl. Russell Wilson, 49 million. One Super Bowl win. Kyler Murray, 46.1. Deshaun Watson, 46. Patrick Mahomes, 45, has 2 wins, 3 Super Bowl appearances. Josh Allen, 43. Daniel Jones, Matthew Stafford, and Dak Prescott all come in at 40. Stafford, out of those 3, the one to win the one Super Bowl. If you start to your theory, Ron, how do most of these guys, there's 5 Super Bowls in this, and Patrick Mahomes has 2 of them.
Yeah. It's kind of lopsided, isn't it?
Yes. So I start to agree with you that unfortunately, and we've seen this model now in so many different teams, the more you pay the quarterback, the less likely you are to get there. Right now, the Cincinnati Bengals have the opportunity because they haven't had to give the big contract to Burrow.
Yeah.
So they could still keep Jamar Chase. Right now, they're saying Burrow's going to get his contract. They got to lose T. Higgins. They're going to have to lose somebody else, maybe on the defensive side of the ball. All of a sudden, your team's not as good. All of a sudden, there's a far less chance of you making it to the Super Bowl. To me, this hurts the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's a very good player. I think he's shown a ton of growth and leap from last year to the year before. But how do you tell me that he's the highest paid quarterback in the league now? And all he did was get you to a Super Bowl. He didn't win. He didn't win it. He got there, and he played well in the Super Bowl, but he didn't do enough to win it. Let's pay him more than anybody else in the league. What does that say? I don't know. I think the Philadelphians made a poor decision. And then on top of it, you allow him to have a no trade clause. So you're 5 years in this contract now. There's no way of getting out of it.
Right. No. And, I think the NFL is making huge mistakes in what they're doing in the front office now, as opposed to players on the field. The players are just basically raking it in, especially those quarterbacks. And let us not forget that this is a team sport. And without those offensive linemen, without those receivers, without that running back, that quarterback is useless, as we know here in New England how they played last year.
Yeah.
We had a quarterback that looked really good in his first year. Then last year he looked awful. Well, if you don't have those pieces around him, Well, he's not going to be able to do anything. So now, with him getting that big contract, you're going to see some guys leaving in the next couple of years, and they're going to have to replace them with players that aren't as good.
Yeah, it's just gonna go to see where Lamar Jackson's contract now, and he was waiting for somebody else big to sign. So it's not going to change. He's going to want 52 million guaranteed or 52 million a year. Like, it's just going to get to the point where you're going to be paying a guy $75 million and not have anybody else in your team.
Right.
And at the end of the day,
it's not economically good for the game, to be honest with you.
Not at all. Not at all. One more quick question before we move on, Ron. The San Francisco 49ers entertaining some trade talks for Trey Lance. Would you make that move if you were in charge of San Francisco for the right offer?
I don't think you can, especially when your quarterback, who was pretty good last year.
Oh boy, every single time, really?
He's not going to be ready. He's not going to be ready.
Possibly, though, they're saying.
I know, possibly, but you can't trade him.
You picked up Sam Darnold in the meantime.
Ooh.
Experienced quarterback. Again, maybe Kyle Shanahan.
Experienced.
Maybe, Kyle Shanahan is quarterback whisperer. He's able to get things out of quarterbacks that most can't. You may have more value for Trey Lance right now than you will at any point because, again, if he sees the field and he stinks, nobody's picking him up. They might be able to get some draft. They traded 3 first-round draft picks to get him.
Mm-hmm.
You might want to get one of those back at this point.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I just think that would be foolish for them. They have to bite the bullet. They have to keep them and hope for the best. That's all they can really do because, look, they just played their hand horribly with the quarterbacks. Horribly. I haven't seen a team mess up in such a long time. This bad.
Yeah, I mean, Jimmy G, played well enough to get him there, right?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy played well enough to get him, and again into the playoffs and championship games. So he does something right. I think they've got enough talent. To your point, like we just talked about previously with Hurts, they don't pay the quarterback a lot of money.
Right.
They were able to put a lot of talent around that. They got one of the best defenses, some of the best offensive weapons. That changes if Brock Purdy starts to take off because guess who's going to want more money too? So we'd have to see. To your point, maybe you keep Trey Lance and hope that he does materialize because he's cheap right now. He's cheap.
We got to talk about those gambling things.
And you want to talk about the Detroit Lions. I know you wanted to bring that up. And the other, there's 5 players total, NFL. Yeah. And again, we saw this recently, right? With Calvin Ridley and that whole situation being suspended for a year. Here we go again.
Yeah.
Why would these players continue to do this?
Look, remember this conversation we had about Ridley, and I said it was going to start being a problem with all these gambling apps and casinos and FanDuel.
Bet on basketball, bet on NBA, NHL, and MLB. Why the NFL? Why the NFL?
But this is what it's leading to, and and I see all the commercials and all of these former stars heading these commercials, with the gambling apps and stuff. And it's inevitable. These players are not going to be able to control themselves. They're not going to be able to do it. When have they ever controlled themselves?
It's on them, at that point. I mean, they're adults.
It is. But I said this was going to be a problem, and here it comes. It's rearing its ugly head now. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I'm looking at commercials and seeing the retired players, and they're all doing their commercials, and that's all fine. A current player should never be in a gambling commercial. Connor McDavid. Period. Should never, ever. They should not be allowed to do it. It's just an accident waiting to happen.
They've got gambling things inside the casino, inside the stadiums now.
Yep.
They're actually, and I just read a quick blip of it recently that there's actually a network, a TV network kind of being sponsored by the gambling site so that they can put all the sports on there. And
this
is where they're going to be. I think to me, the leagues are just going to have to sit these players down as no different than what they do with domestic violence and
Yep.
how to handle your finances and all these things. Why you shouldn't be gambling on your own sport and what the repercussions will be. The fact that these guys continue to do it and think they're going to get away with it, at some point you're going to get caught. Five
Yeah.
players,
Yeah.
four from the same team.
Yes.
Like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, and two players bet on something other than the NFL inside of the facility, and that's why they got caught. They got suspended because they were inside of the facility. Three players got caught gambling on football games on the NFL.
Stupid. It's
It is
stupid.
stupid. It makes it's just watch. This is going to spiral out of control. You watch. It's going to get to every sport.
I agree. I agree with you on that part of it. I don't think you're incorrect. And as a society, we know there's gambling problems, there's addiction
Yep.
problems, there's all these different things that have come to fruition with the fact that it's so widespread now, where you can do it just basically from your telephone,
Yeah.
and it's getting even harder and harder to control it. So look, it's disappointing because again, now here you go with a team that was on the rise,
Right.
and we felt like, look, next year was their year to finally break through and become a legitimate contender. And here you go again. Now you got to
They
basically
could have
lose four
possibly
players.
won that division.
Yeah, they're going to lose four players, and
Yeah.
one of them was one of their top draft picks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jamison Williams.
Yeah. He's going to miss 6 games. So that's going to be 17 now, I think, for 2 years. Is that what the number was? Did he miss games last year?
Yeah, I think he got. Yeah, I think he was injured last year too. So, yep,
Yeah.
just stupid. Just another, and again, they're kids at some point, but you're also adults where you're making millions of dollars. Figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it
You're
out.
going to be 2 years in and you've missed a season already.
Yep. Figure it out. I don't get it. I don't get it. All right, Ron, it's triple play time.
Grounded to third. There's one. There's two. There it is. It's a triple play.
So, episode 16 years ago, these were the top three running backs that led the NFL in rushing: LaDainian Tomlinson, Adrian Peterson, and Brian Westbrook. We are going to decide who we start, bench, and cut. I am first this week, so I will start us off. And I thought this was going to be a little more difficult. It wasn't as tough
No,
as,
it was not.
I thought it was going to be. LaDainian Tomlinson has to be your starter. 13,684 yards, 145 touchdowns, 624 receptions for 4,772 yards, 17 touchdowns, 3 All-Pros. Adrian Peterson, I benched at 14,918 yards, 120 touchdowns. Obviously, the receptions isn't what he was known for, and 4 All-Pros. Brian Westbrook, a decent career. I mean, you think he shorter than the other two, only played 8 seasons, 6,335 yards, 41 touchdowns, 442 receptions for 3,940 yards and 30 touchdowns. Only 1 All-Pro. I cut Brian Westbrook. I think he had like one phenomenal year. Other than that, it wasn't anything special. So I start Tomlinson, I bench Peterson, and I cut Westbrook.
Yeah, Eric, I saw it the same way. LaDainian Tomlinson, look, with those touchdowns, 25 more rushing touchdowns alone was enough to put him over the top. I mean, when you look at it, 4.3 yards per attempt as opposed to 4.6 with Peterson. Peterson was more of an animal running the ball, but he did not have the reception skills as Tomlinson had. So it was definitely Tomlinson for me to start, and benching Peterson. Westbrook just doesn't compare to either of those two players. And with nobody getting a Super Bowl out of all of those guys, it made it easier to just look at those numbers.
Yeah.
And when you add up those yards, yeah, Peterson had a lot more yards, but Tomlinson did more for the wins.
Yeah, I think Brian Westbrook, though, the only one that made it to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he did.
which is kind of crazy. You think about it, the other two didn't even make it to a Super
Yeah.
Bowl.
I mean, one of them cried all the time about the New England Patriots,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so
So the only reason why I was really thinking about cutting him because I couldn't stand the fact that
like,
he still to this day will not give that up.
no,
To
he
this day.
doesn't. And you know, I was also in that same boat as you, wanting to cut him because
It's
I
so
really
bad.
I don't really care for the guy.
So bad. So bad. It's
But
tough being a
then,
Patriot
but
fan,
then
and then
you
you gotta
have the accusations of Peterson, and I was
yeah,
considering cutting him too. But
yeah. So what you're saying, we got good quality guys on our team, Ron. That's what we're looking for. Good
yeah,
character guys that don't complain, just play through it, and won't beat their children. That's
yeah,
great. That's what we do. What
yeah.
we do.
So
But
maybe Westbrook should start.
maybe yeah, and we just cut the other two. All right. Oh boy. All right, my friend. We're gonna talk some NBA action. And first, gentleman, I know how much you love him so much, but do you think it's time for the Golden State Warriors to part ways with Draymond Green? We're going to bring that picture up of him
Oh my God,
stomping Sabonis.
this league should part ways with him.
Look at
They
it. Look at
should.
there's the stomp.
Yep.
Stomper room in the house.
That's right. It's just too much already with him. I'm so sick of his antics. It's like it's just like, when you eat some food that just doesn't sit well, that's Draymond Green. It just doesn't sit well. And these antics, like, it really could have cost them the whole series.
See,
I
to
mean,
me, I think the league did this to fire up the Warriors. I truly think so, because if you look at it, Sabonis didn't get suspended. And I'm not saying Draymond was right, because I can't stand Draymond. We already know how I feel about Draymond Green. But what I will say is this: the fact that Sabonis, who was holding his leg at the time too, almost to try to intentionally injure Draymond stomped back. Why, so you suspend Draymond, it fires up the Warriors going back home. It's almost like, okay, they needed something to spark it, which had helped them win game 3.
yeah, I mean it did, and they were without somebody. Who was it? Somebody else was out too for that game for them, and I can't think of who it was, but but
Look at
they ended up rallying, and they won the game, and that opens the door for them. And now they got to take care of business at home, but they still have to figure out how to win on the road.
yeah,
And
Faceless, thanks for joining.
this is a team that can do it. I mean, we know that they're super talented. We know that.
Gary Payton Jr.
Oh
was
yes,
out.
that's who it was. Yes, thank you, Faceless.
That was Kenny.
Oh, was it Kenny? Oh,
Kenny.
Kenny. Oh, I saw Faceless there, and I
Yeah.
was reading the thing, and
But I will say this: look, so let me ask you this: right now in the playoffs, he's averaging 6 points, 6.5 rebounds, 8 assists. He's shooting 36.4%, 33.3 from 3-point range. If the Warriors were to say, let's part ways and move on, what kind of value would he have if we're Boston Celtics fans? Would you trade for Draymond Green?
no,
Based on the baggage, based on his production,
yeah,
he doesn't have much value.
no,
I think that's where the Warriors are stuck too, because what do you do with him?
no.
Not
just
many
let him-
teams are going to want to pick him up.
No, what I would do is just let him finish out his contract and say goodbye.
But he's around for a bit. I think he's around for another 3-4
Yeah, I
years.
don't know. Well, that's just bad signing. I mean, look, for what you're paying him, you could have paid somebody half the price and gotten a better player.
It's a lot of baggage with Draymond Green,
A lot of it.
and unfortunately,
much.
look, he's a talented player, but
Is
at
he?
the same, I mean, at the same time, his numbers don't for champion. Oh, okay, here we go with the championships. He's on
He
the Ron
didn't win
bandwagon with the
them.
championships.
He didn't win them.
He was a part of it.
He was a smaller part.
I mean, no Curry, no Clay. I think that would, and then they had some guy named Durant for a couple of them too.
Right.
So I think that may have helped Kenny.
They
But
had
I will.
some. They had some other players that were more of a part of the team. in
But
those
how much
beginning championships.
how much of the attitude of this team though is Draymond Green too? You think about that mentality of look, we are not going to back down from anybody. That came from Draymond.
Yeah, but
He is a very smart player. I think he's one of those guys that can do multiple things.
Is he smart?
He's smart basketball wise. Basketball wise.
I guess I'm not going to get my Christmas card from him.
No. So I will ask you this then, Ron. We're going to ask about another player, Kawhi Leonard, who sat out game 3.
Oh, that's a whole nother one. Oh,
Should the same thing happen? Should the
why did
Clippers
he
look
sit
at
out? Why did he sit out?
it? Knee injury again. His knee's bothering him again.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Kawhi, for ruining the Clippers. You know, you and your injuries. Oh, and your other friend there, Mr. George, always injured also. You've done absolutely nothing for the franchise. And thank you for putting us in a position where we could have probably beat Phoenix, but we can't because you're never in the game.
So, Ron, how many games in the NBA season? 82, correct?
Yeah.
82, yes. So, since 2019, once he signed, 57 games, 52 games, did not play an entire season. Last season, 52 games. So, you're missing 30-plus games almost every season. Now, the playoffs, you're going to miss games. Paul George out, missing games.
Yeah.
They got to blow this whole thing up with the Clippers. If they
to.
don't get out of here, if they don't get out of this round,
yeah,
which is a good possibility because I think Phoenix is going to start to roll now. To me, you blow up the Clippers. You try to do whatever you can. If you got to give up whatever, if you got to get a second-round pick for Kawhi Leonard, as crazy as it sounds, get out of that contract because he is not playing for you. He is not going to play.
No, you have to. You got to blow it up. You got to start all over, and
swap Kawhi and Draymond. Warriors don't need him more than 50 games anyway. Hey, that kind of works. No. Imagine Westbrook and Draymond on the same team.
Oh God!
Wow, that would be a fun thing to watch for a bit. Ron, let's talk some NBA playoffs, though. Let's talk about some of these playoff matchups. We'll go through each one. We'll just kind of talk through quickly about each one and what we're thinking is happening.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, Miami, tied 1-1.
Yeah, Giannis is the factor there.
This is a big injury.
Without Giannis, I don't think Milwaukee can beat anybody in the playoffs.
But then they beat him game 2, and they beat him convincingly.
I know.
And Miami's one of those teams offensively that they sometimes struggle to just get points. And to me, Milwaukee has the opportunity to say, look, if we can just get through and Giannis can get healthy enough for the second round. This one is interesting to me because of how Miami plays. And then they lost Hero, right? Broke his hand. So
and that kind of sets back Miami because I think with him in there, I think it could have been a different series if Giannis isn't there.
Yeah. So that's a fun one. Boston, Atlanta. Boston's up 2-0.
Yeah, it's over.
So I same thing. I think, look, tonight we watch, they need to win it in Atlanta. Let's not struggle with this.
I gotta say this. Watching the first 2 games, I notice a difference in the team. The team turned that light switch on, and they're all business right now. And I think it's different. I think it's different.
I
and
hope
Kenny
you're
may
right.
be right. Kenny may be right, and they may go to the championship and win.
Come on, Kenny. What about Trae Young? Is this it for him in Atlanta?
Oh, it's gotta be. It's gotta be. It sickens me just to watch him play.
And I think he wanted Nate McMillan out, but I don't think he's thrilled with Quinn Snyder either.
He plays when he feels like playing. I don't even feel like he tries all the time. And he whines and sulks. It's not even whining, it's sulking. He just pouts.
They seem to play better when he's not on the court. This series so far, they've played better when he's not on the court.
Absolutely.
New York, Cleveland tied 1-1. We talked about this being a grind out series,
Yeah,
and it's so far living up to that.
absolutely.
Does this turn into look? Can the Knicks split on the road now and keep this tied? How important is it that the Cavs win at
Wait,
home?
they're at Madison Square Garden.
Madison, New York. Yes, New
Yeah.
York. Can New York win at home and take control of the series since they split in Cleveland?
Yeah, well, like the advantage now is New York's, right? So they come home, and if they win the couple of games at home, then it's probably over. But Cleveland still got a good team, and they can still beat New York in New York.
And this is starting to get physical. This series is starting to get
Absolutely.
physical. This is getting chippy. But speaking of chippy, you got the Philadelphia Brooklyn series. That's 3-0 Philadelphia. But needless to say, there's
Ah, you're
other.
nuts.
Yeah, there we go. Right. Yeah, there's other things besides basketballs going on. So I will say this though. Philadelphia is putting a ton of pressure on the Boston Celtics because Philadelphia is very close to sweeping this series. If Boston gives a game to Atlanta, which they shouldn't, because we all agree that Atlanta is just a train wreck right now. Think about that from a rest standpoint. Philadelphia is sitting back. Nets getting swept, Kenny. I agree with you. So they're going to sweep Brooklyn. If Boston doesn't do the same to Atlanta, that gives Philly some time to rest before they have to face Boston. And then now you got a healthier Embiid rested, Harden rested. They're putting a lot of pressure on Boston. Can Brooklyn even sneak something out of this?
No. No, because they didn't even have Harden for the rest of that game, and it still wasn't.
Yeah, a 5-point game kept it closer. But I think that was their chance to win a game.
Yeah. Look, it's obviously going to be Philly and Boston, right? When it's all said and done, you have to be able to control just two players. Two players you need to control for the Celtics to win that.
Yeah,
right.
I agree with you. But if Boston goes 6 games, right, because they give something back, they don't play well on the road in Atlanta. They kind of take it. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, that's the pressure Boston's under now. Is Boston tonight has to say, look, we've just got to continue to roll through Atlanta because Philly's going to roll through, and we'd rather put pressure on Philly to say, look, you need to win game 4 because guess what? We're going to win game 4, and then we'll get the rest. So both of these teams obviously would want to get a couple days off if possible. So we'll have to see. We'll go to Western Conference real quick. Denver, Minnesota. Denver up 2-0. Minnesota looks way overmatched. This is another one that's probably a sweep. I think this is a clean sweep.
Yeah, Denver's too good for them.
And think about Minnesota had some talent. At the beginning of the year, we really thought
they just
Minnesota
don't
was
mesh
going to
well
be.
together.
Yeah. Rudy Gobert, I mean, he's punching his own players. So, I mean, that's always a problem.
Yeah, he might be gone at the end of the year.
Lakers, Memphis, 1-1 right now. Memphis talking a lot of smack. A lot of smack. Are they waking up a sleeping giant right now?
Yeah, they are. Look, it is the dumbest thing. This is what Memphis is going to do. They're gonna shoot themselves in the foot
with Jaws gun. Yes, I got it. With Jaws gun. That was very good.
No, that's what they're doing though. Look, I'm all for the funny comments and stuff like that from the team, and they have this swag and this ego trip that they're on. But do you really want to do that to a LeBron James?
No.
Do you really want to do that to an Antonio Davis?
Anthony Davis.
I don't think you want to do that.
Antonio Davis played for the Pacers way back in the 90s,
yeah, whatever.
Anthony Davis. But that's all right. I mean, you were close. Antonio Davis, he was a solid player.
I even was looking at him playing. He was a good player.
But I will say this too, Ron. Desmond Bane is the new Draymond Green. He is that guy.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, he hasn't won.
No.
So keep your mouth shut till you actually get a ring. That's how I would approach that because you're literally, if you lose this series now and LeBron goes off in game 3 because you called him old and you don't worry about him.
LeBron James, Look, I'm going to call it. LeBron James is going to go off. He's going to score 40 plus, and it's not going to be a close game in
No.
the end.
No, and listen, Ja's health.
Yep.
He plays very fast, very hard. He already had an injury, so
Yeah.
we'll see. Sacramento, Golden State, 2-1 Sacramento. Obviously, the Warriors won last night.
Yeah.
Kings need to figure a way to win one on the road.
Yeah, if they don't win the next game and Golden State wins, Golden State's going to win that series.
Right, and that's the key to me. Like, I think Sacramento is the better team now. I just the way the Warriors have played all season. But
I agree with you.
You got to figure out how to win on the road against the. You have your chance to put your foot on their throat. You need to do it. You got to do it. You cannot let Game 4 get away from you. I don't know if Sacramento can do it though yet. I don't know if they're there, if they're ready.
That's
You
what I was
said that.
telling you.
Yeah, you said that earlier, and I'm seeing it now.
Yeah, it's like on paper, this team is by far the better team, but they just don't have that experience in the playoffs. And when you're looking across the court and you see Curry there, and he's going to bury that three at the moment they need it, and then they have Klay Thompson, they have Poole, they have guy after guy after guy that can get it done. And I don't know if they don't win Game 4, it's Golden State winning.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Kings in trouble. Kenny thinks Kings are in trouble. Clippers, Suns, Phoenix up 2-1. Phoenix won last night. Obviously, no Kawhi Leonard in Game 3 there. I think the Suns are taking control of the series now. I think the injuries, Kawhi, who knows if Kawhi plays the next game.
It's funny, Eric, because that was a close game right down to the wire, and they didn't even have Kawhi or Paul George. How are they making it even a game?
I think Phoenix is still trying to figure out how to make this thing work, but they have enough talent to win those games.
They're very top heavy. And those players are logging in a lot of minutes. And KD, we know, is breaking down. And if he goes down, they are in trouble.
I still go Suns in this series, though.
Yeah, I still do too, but
but
I don't think they're going to lose another one.
Yeah, I think the Clippers injuries and they're all done, which is a shame because again, I thought this would have been a really fun series if everybody was 100% healthy.
Yeah, but we know that's never going to happen with that team.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. All right, great NBA talk. We're going to continue, obviously, follow these playoffs and continue to talk about them. But we're going to talk some Major League Baseball, my friend, and the Oakland A's, who are making a move to Las Vegas. I think 2027 is when they hope to have the new stadium in place. Is it the right time? Is this where we should be with the Oakland A's at this point?
Yeah, at this point, the way Oakland treats that team, it needs to go.
Yeah, and he got treated better in the home there.
Yeah, look,
you know what I mean? If you really look at it, they've been asking for a stadium for years now.
I know, and it hasn't come, and it's really a slap in the face to the team because that park is so outdated, and but at the same time, the fans need to support. So it's a double-edged sword. If the fans aren't supporting, then you got to go, right? And when you have to constantly have the lowest salary in the league, and there's no excuse for what they do, though. I mean, there's no excuse.
But the fact that, listen, they're pretty they make the playoffs almost every other year.
Yeah.
Like they still find a way to get into the playoffs. They're not like this team that has been so uncompetitive that you could understand it either. Like they make the playoffs.
Like Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh's been, right. And I can't remember the last time they made the playoffs.
Right.
But that's they made it before the New York Jets, though. Let's just throw that out there. But anyway, I love the Jets.
See,
fans
now they
there.
just pick you.
I hope they do. I hope they do. Bunch of whining crybabies. Anyway, let's look at the fact that at least they've been competitive, and yet
Yeah.
you still couldn't figure out. And now fans are like all upset. It's too late. It's too late. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you had a beautiful woman and you treated her like crap. And then she found some nice guy that was willing to take care of her, sweep her away. And guess
Come
what?
on,
Now
why
you're
are
like,
you bringing up Tom Brady?
I can't help it. Poor Giselle. I mean, actually, poor Tom. I think she hosed him. She hosed him. At the end of the day, she was already. She's with Tom Brady's friend now, and like doing it. Yeah, that got convenient. I don't know where you met. Where'd you meet him? Oh, that's right, through Tom Brady. What is going on right now? We've lost control. But I will say,
I'm still in control. You've lost control.
but that's where we're at with that. You know what I mean? Now you can't be upset about it. You can't sit back and go, oh, why didn't they do more? It wasn't like it was a month and then they decided to pack up their bags and move. This has been years coming.
Oh, yeah.
Like, get over it now and understand that, look, if you wanted a team bad enough, and you know what'll happen? There'll be an expansion, because they keep talking about that too in the MLB, that they're going to expand. And the first stadium they're going to talk about, what about Oakland again? Let's bring another team back to Oakland. Don't do it. Stop. Let it go. Just let it go.
Yeah, we need a team in like Omaha or something.
All right, calm down, Peyton Manning. All right.
Omaha.
I can hear it now every time somebody hits a home run.
Just think, Peyton Manning would probably buy it.
I don't want him to buy anything.
He'd be the owner of the franchise.
No. Put one in Hawaii or something. Something crazy.
The travel time would kill everybody.
Oh, that would be awesome. We'd go. Sports
With
Unfolded.
baseball games,
Sign
you
us
couldn't
up.
do that.
We'll go to Hawaii for it. We'll do a game. Aloha from Honolulu Stadium here, Major League. We could do it. We could do
because
it.
like they have games every night. It would be literally
I
impossible.
love it.
You'd have to have 3 days
Maybe
off.
they could do it on a barge. Have a giant barge, and maybe. Oh, imagine that.
On a
anyway.
battleship.
Right.
On a battleship.
You sunk my battleship.
No, you could actually have like the team.
Oh, the big giant. Right. Have a game. Right. How cool would that be? I mean, that's a real big waste of government money, though. How big of a waste of government money would that be? Yeah, we got a baseball team on a battleship right now that, we're going to tax you on it, but it's all right.
Now it's gone off the rails.
Now it has completely. But 2027, the Las Vegas A's, or did they change the name? Would you change everything? Las Vegas Gamblers. And then everybody gets suspended for gambling on Major League Baseball on the team.
No, it would be maybe the Vegas O's or something.
The Vegas, the Vegas 777s. All right. Well, let's talk about another gambler, and that would be Max Scherzer, who decided he was going to have some illegal substances while he pitched. And then he said, I'll go out there a third time after being warned twice. He swears on his kid it wasn't anything illegal. It was the rosin with the sweat and the water. Your thoughts on this? Your thoughts on this?
You don't swear on your kids, first of all.
He's telling the truth.
He's an idiot.
He's telling the truth, Ron.
I don't like anything about what happened there either. I don't like what the umpire did when he throws the glove back at him into his chest. Like, he shouldn't be doing that.
He won it 3 times.
I'm just saying.
He said, cut it out.
Do that.
Stop doing it. Came out again. He said it didn't change. Third time, he's like, are you serious now? Like, at this point, how many times can you tell somebody to stop doing something before they do it? If somebody, your kid touches something so many times, eventually you gotta smack them around. Smack them around. Well, you can't smack them around anymore. That's not kosher either. But
no,
I am just so
Adrian.
I am off the rails at this point. I've lost to Adrian Peterson. That's just gone. Get a switch, beat the kid. No, do not do that. I am kidding. My goodness. But do you think he was cheating?
Too.
Was he cheating?
Most likely. Most likely.
100%, Ron. Rosin with sweat and water does not make a sticky substance that's going to all of a sudden give me a break.
No, it does, actually.
Not to that point. They said it was stickier the third time. It got worse.
They had David Cohn talking about it, and he used to do the same thing.
He cheated too.
Yeah.
There you go. It's unreal. Don't ever tell you, but swear on your children, you fool.
Yeah.
Another one, Max
He had this
Scherzer.
little tirade. It's funny. It's funny. Looking at that now, it's funny.
And then he got a 10-game suspension. He was going to appeal it, and he decided not to. I think that was the right move because I think there
You
is
only
no
miss
way.
one start, really.
Two,
It's like you don't
technically
even miss.
two starts. 2 starts. Ah, boy. All right. Let's continue to go off the rails with our future prospects, Ron.
Oh. I knew I forgot something.
That's all right. Don't worry. Mine is so good you don't even have to worry about it. So, my first future prospect, the Boston Bruins,
Oh, boy.
will win their first round series, but it's going to go 7 games, which ultimately hurts them, and they lose in the second round because of the length of time and the wear and tear. The Boston Bruins lose in the second round of the playoffs because of the Florida Panthers and go in 7 games. That is my prediction.
Yeah,
my
but
future,
why?
my future prospect.
Why do they lose this? Why do they win the series?
Why do they win it? Because I still think they have a little more talent.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to say that the Tampa Bay Rays
Harbor Ray Rays.
are going to. What's in this cup?
What is in that cup?
The Tampa Bay
Can you
Rays are going to
stir it?
finish 4th in the division.
4th. I love it.
That great start means absolutely nothing because it was all against crap teams.
Yeah, you were right on that one. You definitely said that as soon as they played a real team, what happened? Kenny, this one's for you, my friend, because I disagree with you. The Golden State Warriors will lose their first round matchup against the Sacramento Kings and then fire Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr will be fired after this playoff series because of the inefficiencies to win when these guys, he can only win when they're fully healthy, and they were all rolling. The Warriors dynasty over.
Yeah, how dare he only win when they're healthy?
That's it. He can't. He's no different than anybody else, but I'm just saying. They're healthy now.
And you already said Sacramento was going to beat them.
But I didn't say that Steve Kerr was going to get fired. Steve Kerr.
No, that's an addition to it.
Done. Over.
You know, that's a new addition.
It's all over. They're going to feel he can't officially get him back to the finals.
But Golden State isn't going to lose the series, so, you know.
Okay. Do you have a second one, or are we moving on?
No. Of course.
Oh, you got one? Okay. I don't know, man.
Of course I got a second one.
Okay.
Okay. So after looking at all the possibilities of draft choices, I'm going to say that your choice was wrong.
Okay.
That Carolina was not going to draft. What's his face?
Bryce Young.
They were
going
they've already told him that he is going to get drafted by them. So Bryce Young actually stopped all his other meetings with teams.
You know who his wide receiver was? Jamison Williams. Taught him how to gamble. They're not drafting him.
They're going to draft him. But the big thing is Houston is going to trade out of their spot.
At 2?
They're going to trade out of their spot. And it's going to be Vegas that takes that spot.
I got one more for you, Ron. The New England Patriots will trade down in NFL draft this week. We are going to do a live draft watch party. If you want to see 2 guys physically get ill when the New England Patriots are on the board, watch our show because it's going to happen again. It happened last year.
Wait.
You remember we couldn't even find Cole Strange when we were looking through all the names?
I'm going to do one better. I'm going to do one better. I changed my mind about that Houston.
Okay.
Houston is going to trade down to the New England Patriots. They're going to move up, and the Patriots are going to draft Levis.
I love it.
And trade Mac Jones for that pick.
And then trade Levis for a sixth round cornerback who played for some Division III college. That's pretty much what the New England Patriots do. All right, my friend, it's NHL time. Let's talk some hockey. We've got a big suspension here. Michael Bunting of the Toronto Maple Leafs
I
suspended
thought we
3
were
games.
talking about hockey, not baseball.
Hey, little Bunting going on. Ha ha ha. So, he got suspended for an illegal check. Do you agree with the suspension? Do you think the league got it
What,
right?
David Krejci didn't have his paperwork coming over?
Oh boy!
An
Wow!
illegal check?
Wow! All right,
That's
I think
funny.
I think we need to shut down. You agree with the suspension? You think it was the right one? Right
Yes,
call?
I do.
And both coaches seem to agree with it too.
It was direct to the head, and he even came up with the hit, and that to me signifies intent. Because if he was just going to throw a shoulder at him, it would have just hit his chest, and that would have been it. But he aimed.
What I will say is this: anytime you're trying to bunt, the key is when you get,
Yeah.
So he was just trying to go. He was trying to get the first,
Yep.
and unfortunately, you know what I mean. He hit somebody's head.
Yeah. Well, he got suspended, and he deserved it. And when you look at that game as a whole, look, they took out 2 key defensemen for Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So going into game 2, when you're down like that, I mean, what are you going to do about that? You can't. You don't have the manpower to stop that team now.
Yeah.
No, and
I agree.
they know what they're doing.
I agree. It could affect that whole series. So we're going to talk about all these series now, and we're going to kind of break down a little bit similar to what we did with the NBA. So Boston, Florida, 1-1. We just talked a lot about it. I will just say this. Are the Panthers a bad matchup for the Bruins? I think they are. I think that they've struggled all season with the Panthers. This is going to be as not as easy as we thought it would be, at least the first round.
No.
We
already was going to be easy.
I get it, but you didn't think they would look as bad. If that makes sense? They just don't look right against this team right now.
Well, it's a bigger team. So when you and by bigger, I don't mean size-wise. I mean by physical-wise. The team is really more physical than the Boston Bruins. Bruins have a lot of that elite talent that are looking for the space and making these nice plays and the cohesiveness. But when you start checking, you throw off that cohesiveness. Now the Bruins have to figure out what they need to do to get back to that good passing and the proper play, coming out of their own end. So they have to be aware of this, and so that's going to be a fix. And I think the Bruins can handle their business from here on out.
Okay. Toronto, Tampa Bay tied 1-1. Lightning looked good early. Game 1, game 2, completely different story. Both of these guys, it was like 5-1, 5-3, whatever it was. Like they're scoring some goals.
Yeah.
Which team needs to be more dominant game 3 if they're going to win this series?
Tampa Bay has to do what they do best. They have to control the game. And in order to do that, you have to have healthy players coming out of your own zone against Toronto. And if that defense is just not going to be healthy, they're in trouble.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay, Toronto, we know has the offensive weapons.
Yeah,
they have some of the top goal scorers.
But they do have a goaltender that can do it.
Yeah, and that's true. Yeah,
I think Samsonov is just soft.
Yeah, so it could be. This one disappointed me so far. New Jersey, New York Rangers. The Devils just have not looked good. Don't look like they belong there. The key, though, here to me is that the Devils have been one of the best road teams all season long. Now they go to New York.
Yeah.
Was this just them continuing to struggle at home? They were barely over 500 at home. They played so much better on the road.
This is a Rangers team that on paper was better. Just didn't play better throughout the whole season. But late in that season, after the trade deadline,
Tarasenko right now, right? It looks like what a
yeah,
great pickup that's been for them. You
yeah,
haven't
and
even
Kane
heard about
too.
Kane though as much. But again, they've
Yeah,
got
but
so much talent.
he was dynamic on that power
Yeah.
play last night,
Yeah.
and
Kreider looks great.
yeah, I
Adam
just think there's
Fox.
too much talent there for New Jersey to handle.
I think the Rangers may come out of the East. With
Yeah,
all
that's
that
what I
talent.
was afraid of. Look, there was 3 teams I was looking at. Boston, Carolina, and the Rangers. Boston and the Rangers did something at the trade deadline. So I think it's going to be between those 2 teams.
Do the Devils have a shot in this series? In your
No,
right?
no.
What a shame. What a great season they had too.
Yeah, but
And
they got to
for
learn from it.
yeah, I hope so. Carolina, New York Islanders. Carolina are up 2-0. They look dominant right now. Islanders don't look like they belong there. To me,
No, everything
this
is
is an
going
easy one for them.
Carolina's
Yeah,
way. I mean, even the Islanders even scored on themselves. So
at least you scored. I mean, doesn't that count for
right.
something?
Yeah, it was a crazy backhand swipe at the puck, and I don't know how he didn't pick it up, and it went right in. So it was. I think that's
Back in high school, I'd brush by a girl. I considered it a score, man. That's how I looked at it. So as long as you count it, you got to count it.
Wow.
Let's
Wow.
let's look at.
Again, you could write to Eric at.
Do not write to Eric. Let's talk Western Conference. That would mean people are watching the show, Ron. I don't know. We got
They
Kenny.
are
Kenny's
watching.
loyal. Kenny
They
is
are
my
watching.
man. I want to hear some people out there talking tonight. Vegas, Winnipeg tied 1-1. Winnipeg takes the first game. Vegas comes back. Again, there's a split there with the home ice.
Yeah.
Can the Golden Knights steal one in Winnipeg?
Well, I'm skeptical. I don't think these Western teams are all that special.
All 4 series are 1-1. Like they were just going back and forth.
So, I mean, to me, the first and last team in the playoffs are kind of the same. So Winnipeg can definitely take that series. And that's what I predicted would happen too, if I'm not mistaken.
You did. Edmonton Kings 1-1. Edmonton, can they get over this hump? Right, Connor McDavid. This is a big series for him.
Yeah,
right. You think about it's similar to what Boston did. Right, they got the wins record. This man scored over 60 goals.
Yeah,
and you don't want to just be known as that guy. Yeah, but he can't get anywhere. He doesn't do anything.
I'm gonna roll with the Kings.
Ooh. Wow.
I'm rolling with the Kings. I think the Kings are a better team.
Okay. Interesting.
It's very top heavy over there. As long as the Kings don't
You're big on the top heavy thing.
Box.
Big on the top
That's
heavy.
a record-breaking power play, by the way. 32.9% on the power play during the regular season is an all-time record.
Okay.
And so you cannot take penalties. You take penalties, you're going to lose. Period.
Interesting. Good insight there, Ron. Dallas, Minnesota, 1-1. Big injuries
this is
here.
A good one.
Pavelski, he's out now. Games 3 and 4. He was their best player all season. Wild, though, a little bit of questions with the goaltending. He keep bouncing back and forth. Marc-Andre Fleury was in net the last game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is an interesting series because I think the injuries are going to play a factor, but I also think that the goaltending questions in Minnesota could also be a factor as well.
Yeah, you got to hope that, Fleury shakes it off and decides to, be that guy.
Was that Taylor Swift, by the way? You gotta shake it. No, that was Mariah Carey. Taylor Swift. What am I thinking? You gotta shake it off. Kenny knows that song. I know it, but go ahead. They gotta shake it off. Marc-Andre Fleury. Shake it off.
Yeah.
Mariah Carey.
No.
But who wins this series in your eyes? I mean, this one seems very evenly matched.
Yeah, I think Dallas gets it done. I think, Kirill Kaprizov has to be inhuman. He has to play above and beyond. And it's tough to do that when you don't have a team that is really built for that. You know, like he has to be basically Pasternak. That's what he has to be. But you don't have that Krejci out there passing him the puck, you know, and setting things up nicely. You don't have that defense core setting him up nicely on, you know, those one timers. And if that team doesn't get those opportunities, he's not going to be as effective. And right now, I think Dallas is capable of shutting him down. And if you shut him down, they're not going to score.
Yeah. Colorado, Seattle, 1-1.
Yeah, Colorado. Yeah.
You know the one thing I did though. Look, think about this: your very first playoff game as a franchise, you win. That's kind of cool. I thought that was a nice story, but I think that's as far as it goes. This series is going to be over pretty quickly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Colorado wins the next 3 as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. All right, that was some NHL. We'll obviously keep an eye on those NHL playoffs as well. And next week we'll continue to talk about them. But it is time for pick and roll.
It's time for pick and roll.
So we're going to keep on this NHL theme, and these 6 players all led the league in assists in 2007. It was Joe Thornton, Sidney Crosby, Mark Savard, Henrik Sundin, Jaromir Jagr, and Joe Sakic. We're going to rank them from 6 to 1.
Yeah, I thought this was going to be a lot harder than what it was.
I thought 3 through 1 was difficult. But yeah, 6, you have to go Mark Savard. He played in 807 games, 207 goals, 499 in assists, 706 points, but a -54 for his career. No awards, no anything. He didn't even make an all-star. I put him at 6. So he had one solid 2007. He must have had a really good amount of assists. At 5, Henrik Sundin. 1,330 games. He had 240 goals, 830 assists, 1,070 points, a +165. He had 2 All-Stars, 2 Clancy's, 1 Hart, and 1 Ross, but no championships. Kind of held that against them. And then at 4, I went Joe Thornton, who's going to continue to still put up some numbers because I didn't think he officially retired still to this point.
No, he hasn't officially, but he's done.
You think he's done? 1,714 games in his career, 430 goals, 1,109 assists, 1,539 points, a +182, 4 All-Stars, 1 Ross, 1 Hart. But again, no championships. I put him ahead of the other 2 just based on the goals. This is where these guys are legitimate stars. Joe Sakic, I went 3, 1,378 games, 625 goals, 1,016 assists for 1,641 points, a +30, 3 All-Stars, 1 Smite, 1 Hart, 1 Bing, 1 Pearson, and he won 2 cups. So some good awards there, and he won 2 championships. At 2, this is where I really struggled, Ron. I went Sidney Crosby at 2. In 1,190 games, he's got 550 goals, 952 assists, 1,502 points, a +210 in his career. 8 All-Stars, 2 Ross, 2 Hart, 3 Pearson, 2 Richard, 2 Smite, 1 Messier, 1 Art Ross, and then 3 cups. So 3 championships. But Jaromir Jagr at 1, 1,733 games, 216 goals more at 766. He had almost 200 more assists at 1,155. So 1,921 points, a +322, which is insane. Same amount of All-Stars, 8. He had 5 Ross, 3 more than Crosby, 1 less Hart, 3 Pearson. So they were tied there. 1 Masterson, 1 Art Ross, and 2 cups. I just thought Jaromir Jagr by far was the best player on this list, and he was my number 1.
Okay, not too shabby.
I tried, my friend.
Not too shabby. Number 5. Wait, 6.
You didn't even count Mark Savard. You just don't want to even put him in.
Totally forgot about Mark Savard. Totally forgot about him, and that was the purpose of forgetting about him. A -54. That's all you need to know. -54. suffered concussions when he played for the Boston Bruins and ruined his career. Thank you so much for the players that had a part in that. Number 5, I had Sedin, which I believe is where you had him.
Yes.
You it has nice numbers, great numbers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still think the Sedin brothers were soft. They couldn't get it done in the Stanley Cup.
There we go with the Christmas cards.
Soft player, 38 game-winning goals, not a whole lot of game-winning goals for him, and that says a lot to me because, like, when you're putting up those kind of numbers, it's like you can be the playmaker all you want, but you got to get it done. You got to get it done, and he didn't get it done.
But think about it. 33
was
more goals than Savard in 530, almost 530 more games.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Even he was not a goal scorer.
Right. If Mark Savard was a positive in any way, in that plus minus department, I probably would have put Savard ahead of him. Number 4, I also went with Jumbo Joe, former Bruin, former Shark, former Panther. Look, he's a great player, and for whatever reason, couldn't win in the playoffs. But when you look at those numbers, 430 goals, 1,100 plus assists. I mean, a plus 182 is crazy good. 68 game-winning goals, not bad for a playmaker who also had those 430 goals. Look, he had to play, against a lot of great center icemen that have come out in, the last couple of decades. So, between, Crosby and all the others that went along with that, Sakic and stuff, that's a lot. And I think he should have been in more All-Star games, but that's just not the way it went. But number 3, I went Joe Sakic as well. He might be my favorite player on this list, but when you look at the numbers, that's what the numbers dictate. 625 goals is fantastic, more than Crosby right now, but he did play a couple of hundred more games.
Mhm.
So that could change. 86 game winners. I mean, look at all the things he's won throughout his career. And he was one of the best centermen, in his time. When you have to play against Mario and Wayne, and Yzerman and Fedorov, that's a lot of guys that are up there, and you're contending with them, and you put up those numbers. It's fantastic. I mean, he's a fantastic hockey player. A couple of cups win. Number 2, I also went Sidney Crosby. Look, I've always said that he's the 3rd best Pittsburgh Penguin of all time, right?
Yeah, and he lost this one to a Pittsburgh Penguin. So.
Right. So, look, Crosby, when it's all said and done, might possibly overtake Yager for goals. I don't know. I don't think so, but it's possible. he probably will surpass Sakic, and that's generally why I put him 3rd behind Crosby, because I think Crosby will pass Sakic at least. I don't think he's going to catch Yager.
No.
I just think Yager was just special. I mean, Yager is still playing in
overseas, right?
League. So I mean, if he came over, he'd probably make some of these teams. And that's saying something about this guy is just pure talented. And you consider, getting a Hart trophy and when you're playing in an era with Gretzky and Lemieux, how do you manage to get those accolades?
No, he was special, very special player.
So,
No,
Yeah, we
awesome
saw
list.
it.
Some good hockey guys. There was some good ones in there.
Oh, I like most of those players.
Yeah, yeah,
There's only
yeah.
one I really don't like.
Yeah, which you discussed. We know. So it is a
Just
it's
to
time for
clarify.
it is time for predictions. And a little movement. You gain back.
Yep.
So we'll bring that list
I
up.
win when I need to.
Kenny, a little struggle last week, under 500. So I'm sure he wants to make up for that this week if he's still on. And if you're on now joining us live and you want to give us your picks, we can get your name on there as well. But yeah, 72 and 57% of the time you're right, Ron. So you know what I mean? Not bad. Not bad. 6-2 last week.
Yeah, I got to get to 60.
62. I mean, we seem to do better last year with this. But join us
We're right around the same.
Join us for our predictions here and give us your calls. So we are starting with the NBA. You got game 3 between Cleveland and New York. It's in New York. That is tonight. I went Cleveland here.
I also went Cleveland. How about that? I think they're going to keep switching games till game 7. Then who knows?
Yeah. This will be a fun series. Tomorrow night, you got the Memphis Grizzlies at the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, game 3, series tied 1-1.
I'm going Lakers on this one.
I went Lakers as well. Kenny going New York. There we go again, Kenny. You didn't learn from last week and picking against us. And then here we go again. We'll let him go. Yeah, so Memphis, we both went Lakers. He went Grizzlies. I think we see a theme going tonight.
See, now I'm really confident in these picks.
Yes. Also, tomorrow night, you got the Milwaukee Bucks at the Miami Heat. Game 3, tied 1-1. I went Milwaukee. I think that the Bucks, they're going to win this one.
Yeah, the Heat no longer have a hero.
Is it not on?
What?
The Heat is on.
Oh, my God. No. They don't have any heroes.
Oh.
So I'm going Bucks.
Okay. All right. I could go for a nice hero right now.
Because we don't need another hero.
We don't need another hero for sure. Kenny, Bucks. Kenny went Bucks. All right. Finally, Kenny, you're on the winning side. Tonight, it's puck dropping any minute now. You got the Boston Bruins at the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, it's on TNT, right?
TNT.
Why do I have it on TNT and I see a movie?
I don't know. We might have been blacked out. You're going to have to go to Nesson.
There's no game on Nesson.
Okay.
I'm going Boston. Look, I'm very confident that this team, they would due for a loss. After 9 wins in a row, they would due for a loss. They played sloppy and they got their butt whooped, right?
Yeah.
Now they're going to come back out and they're going to be ready to go. And I think this is going to change.
Wow. Uh-oh. Kenny went Panthers. I went Bruins as well. I think the Bruins bounce back in this one. I still think this will be a tough series, but I think they win game 3 here. Also tonight, we got the Dallas Stars at the Minnesota Wild. That is game 3 as well. That is tied 1-1. I went Minnesota here at home.
Yeah, well, see, I based this game on the the USFL. I know that sounds crazy, right?
All right.
Because I went with the Panthers losing and the Stars winning.
Okay.
So I've got the Stars winning tonight.
All right.
Or tomorrow.
I just think that Pavelski tonight.
Pavelski.
That injury's gonna hurt them. Also tonight, you got the Edmonton Oilers at the Los Angeles Kings game 3. That is tied 1-1 as well. So we did all the 1-1 games. We didn't do the 2-0 games. What do you think there, Ron?
I got the Kings in this one.
Ooh, got the Kings. I went Oilers here. I think Connor McDavid is going to have a big game. I think, Kenny went Kings. That means you lose. You know that, Ron. We got some baseball here. We got the Toronto Blue Jays at the New York Yankees. That series starts tonight as well. I went Toronto here. I went Toronto. The Yankee pitching staff just is not impressing me at all.
Yeah, I also went Toronto. Look, I think Toronto's a very complete game.
I know how much you love Stanton. Stanton out. I know how much you love Stanton. You got to be devastated. You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny went Blue Jays. All right. So we all went Toronto. April 21st as well starts the Houston Astros at the Atlanta Braves 3-game series.
I've got the Braves in this one. I think right now that I think the Braves are the top team in the league.
I went Braves as well. I mean, I think again they're one of the top teams in the league. I think they've been much better. Houston kind of still kind of in that rut this season. They have not been the most dominant team. Kenny, who you got there, my friend? I know Kenny will not pick NASCAR, so we're give him a little time. We got NASCAR here. I got the Geico 500. That's Talladega. This is me first, right? I went Eric Jones. Eric Jones to be in the top 5.
I went with Harvick. I think he's going to get this win.
Kevin Harvick. Right.
Like I'm confident he's actually going to win the race.
Okay. I had a top 10 finish last week, by the way, but we're going top 5. So, Kenny, no pick on the Braves Astros game. Okay. USFL back, my friend. We got the Michigan Panthers at the Philadelphia Stars.
Yeah, like I said, I went Stars in this one.
Stars here. I went. The
Stars win all their games, and the Panthers lose all their games.
All right. I went Panthers. I went Michigan, baby. The Wolverines, the Panthers. Stars. Kenny went the Stars. All right. And then you got the MLS to finish us off tonight. You got the Seattle. That's tomorrow night. Seattle Sounders Football Club versus the Minnesota United. Was it me or you? Go ahead. That's fine. You go. You go. I went Seattle as well. Kenny, if you're doing a little bit of soccer, we've had a bunch of ties each week. 2 weeks in a row, we had ties. So we didn't even get to count the MLS there. All right. So that is our predictions. We will give you results next week and see how we did. But Ron, it is
11-0 this week.
I like it. 11-0. We are on to our final thoughts. But before we go on to our final thoughts, can you tell the wonderful people out there how they can sponsor this phenomenal show that has been so entertaining tonight?
It has been entertaining, hasn't it? Look, if you want to sponsor the show, all you have to do is send an email to ribroadcasting.media@gmail.com. We can send out all the information that you need to know just to sponsor the show. But it is as simple as just going to your coffee shop and getting a large coffee and a donut, and that's how little it will cost you. So
you have millions of eyes on you,
yes.
Thousands of eyes, who knows how many eyes, but tons of eyes on you and your business. And we'd love to have a sponsor for our show. So
absolutely. So
reach out and find
stars, out. You could be that sticker company with all those little colored stars. That would be great to sponsor the Future Stars segment.
Yeah. Future prospects.
Well, whatever.
That's close enough. But what I will say is this too: donate, bits, stars. Make sure that you are sharing our show. Follow us on all our social media platforms. That ticker on the bottom tells you so many different ways you can do that. SEC TV, Channel 12, Southeast Connecticut. We are on public access. Check us out. We are on every Tuesday night. If you're watching now and you enjoy what you're watching, check us out Friday nights. Join us live and join in. We've had so many different people join us live each and every week. Kenny's been one of our, religious followers. We appreciate you, Kenny. Faceless, thanks for joining us tonight as well.
Yes, Faceless, a Twitch follower. Well, I don't know if he follows. But he's always here. So Faceless_PT, if you want to check out his gaming.
Very cool. Very cool. Ron, it's final thoughts time. And I had two, but we took one. We talked about the Detroit Lions. So my final one is about Tiger Woods, who had ankle surgery this week. And I really truly think this may be it for his PGA Tour career. After the Masters and just seeing how he limped off the, the greens and wasn't able to do what he was, the courses there. I just think that we got to witness a legend that honestly brought golf into most of the sports fans world that wouldn't normally watch golf. And I always thought golf was one of those sports that I wouldn't either A, enjoy playing, or B, enjoy watching. And there were points in times when I knew Tiger was playing that I wanted to watch and see how he did. And
It's actually fun playing, Eric.
yeah, I do play recreational. I'm not very good at all. And usually by the sixth hole, I'm a couple deep in some other stuff, so that I don't care what happens. But you know what? It's a great sport to play. But we got to witness a legend. It's no different than what we saw with like a Michael Jordan and Larry Bird and Tom Brady. We saw a guy that was so dominant and at the top of his sport.
Yeah.
And to see him have to go out the way he's going to go out, I mean, battering numerous injuries, the back, the car accident. I just think that we've seen the end of Tiger Woods' career. Yeah. Even if he comes back, I don't think there's ever a real possibility of him winning another tournament. And he'll fall just short of Jack in that whole, scenario. But we got to witness greatness. He brought golf into our world. So I appreciate that always. And again, just a sad scene to see him walk off that way. And then now know that he needs ankle surgery as well. So just, again, another delay in his career. It's okay. You're going to make it, Ron. You're going to make it. But that was my final thought. Tiger, thanks for all the memories.
Okay, so the draft is about
Thursday.
a week away.
Thursday.
It's a week away.
Not even.
All right. So look,
6 days, my friend.
You get all these hopefuls coming into this league. The league really needs to do something extra for these incoming players. And I don't mean, the celebrations and stuff like that when they get drafted. You don't need to do anything extra for that. That takes care of itself. I'm talking about conduct. They are kids, and I don't care if they're, 19 or 22 or 23, they are kids. And we need to start doing more to keep these guys from falling. And I don't mean falling, in the game. I mean falling as a human being. We just had the story with the gambling, but it's more than just the gambling. It is the drugs. It is the firearms. It's all of that stuff. I mean, you name it. They're abusive behavior. It's a lot. And a lot of these guys come from inner cities and have had problems in their homes and stuff. We need to get them support so that way they can make it as a person. A lot of them probably don't even know how to balance a checkbook or even know what a checkbook is. So I think we need to do more. And I know they have some programs and stuff like that, but it needs to go beyond that now. It needs to go beyond, because we just had a rookie that got suspended for gambling. Okay, there's definitely problems. And I think it's not only the NFL, it is every league needs to step up and do more for these kids coming in. So that way we can start having a generation of players that really know how to live.
No, very well said, Ron. Very well said. And they represent these leagues, so you think it'd be important to them. So hopefully they take your advice.
That.
So great show tonight. Appreciate your time, Ron. I know you're dying to get going so we can watch these Bruins. We got the Celtics tonight too. So we got a lot to watch at the same time. But I want to tell everybody out there, each and every week we tell you all we ever want, and there's been so many tragic things happening. We just want peace on earth, man. Peace on earth. Take care, everyone.
Have a great night.